Forward. It's
The recording, if you look at the more.
I think this is already a recording.
Yeah.
So
you can start the session.
Okay. So good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to our colleagues from China. Welcome to the transport session of ISIE 2024. And my name is Huimei Li, and it's my honor to be the moderator of this session. And currently, I'm doing my PhD study at the University of Freiburg in Germany, under the supervision of Professor Steffi Poliuk. And today, I'm pleased to spend the next hour with all of you to dive into today's topic, an important and impactful topic, the scenario modeling for transport, the vehicle fleet, and the materials. As we all know, the transport sector is essential. It moves the people and the goods and driving economic development, but it's also responsible for around 25% of global carbon emissions and almost 30% of total energy consumption. And what's more, vehicle and infrastructure require substantial material inputs. We know some of which are associated with industrial carbon emissions like steel and aluminum, and some are facing potential supply risks like the lithium. And due to the population growth and rapid urbanization and economic activity, by 2050, the transport demand is expected to rise dramatically, around 80% for passengers and nearly double for freight. So if we want to meet the targets set by the Paris Agreement, decarbonizing transportation has become an urgent priority. Well, we know where the progress is being made, like the shift to electric vehicles and renewable energies, but it's clear that emissions will not decline fast enough to reach the international climate goals. So the challenge we are facing now is how to meet growing transport demand while reducing carbon emissions and resource consumption. The solution will differ depending on regional differences in transport modes, economics, and geographies. So this is where well-constructed scenario models come in, because they can guide policymakers in crafting low-carbon transport strategies and helping to address both climate change and resource scarcity. So today we are fortunate to have three speakers to share their insights and latest research in this field. And here is what we have planned for today. First, each speaker will have 12 to 15 minutes to present their work. And once our presentations are done, we will have a discussion and a question and answer session. So you can share your thoughts or ask questions, and please feel free to submit your questions anytime via the chat box. And I will collect them and select a few during the current session. And please notice that we will record the session for the ISIE video channel on YouTube. Now let's get started. So first of all, we have the 𝐕 Mao, the postdoctoral from the Technical University of Denmark, and he specialized in sustainable built environments and urban sustainability. Now, 𝐕, it's your turn.
Good. Can you see my screen and slide now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Because of the networking, I will close my video and present a little bit on my insight here. And okay, I'm very glad to be here on the Industrial Ecology Day. And my title today is Accumulation of Material Stock and Dynamics in Traffic Flows, Insight from Transportation Infrastructure Planning and Development in China. And I have three cases on expressway, high-speed railway, and airport. And we all know that there is a Chinese saying that roads lead to richness. This is one of the most effective practice along with Chinese economic reform in the early 1980s. And it actually promotes the economic growth very well in that days in China. From the book from Robert William Fogels and his 1993 Nobel Prize in Economics, and he wrote the book Railroads and American Economic Growth, and he quantitative assessed the role of railroad in the economic development in the United States during the 19th century. He challenged the environmental conventional thinking that railroads were indispensable for American economies. And he wrote that while railroads were important, they were not the sole drivers of economy expansion. Rather, they may only completed existing transportation systems. And let's get a little bit insight from the Chinese infrastructure stock and freight traffic flows from 1998 to 2022. And we can see that from the left figure is East China, Central South China, and Southwestern China. And the solid line is expressway, and the dashed line is freight transport traffic flows. And in these figures, we can see it grows quite a bit well with the flows grows fit well with stocks. But in the North China, Northeastern, and Northwestern, after 2012, and we can see that the traffic flows are stopped increasing, but the expressway stocks are continue to grow. And there's coming the question, are the expressway over-constructed in North China after 2012? This come with the wooden bucket theory, that because maybe before 2012, the transportation infrastructure and the stocks, maybe the shortness of economic development, and when you build a lot of roads, it will impact on the traffic flows. But after 2012, the stock continued growth, but the traffic flows stays quite steady. And this coming with another book on linked is net science of networks from Alberto Barabasi in 2002, and he discussed the airport and the expressway in different the bell curve and the power laws in the American, and it fit well with the demand and the supply. We can see that from the bell curve distribution is that the most nodes have the same number of links, and it's quite like the American expressways distribution, like every cities have the same nodes distributed across America. And this is because the expressway is supply side, and because it's supplied by the national government. But for the power law distribution, is that very many nodes with only a few links, but a few hubs with a large number of links. And this goes to that the airport and aviation system in America, that there are a lot of transportation demand by air coming from like New York, Los Angeles, these mega cities, and also the aviation system are mostly provide this demand from the private companies. When we take a look of this in the Chinese cases, and I think it follows very well, because this is a two work we are conducting right now from the expressway distribution and the charging station in the expressway supply mapping, and this is a expressway, this is a charging station mappings, and we maps it fit well with the bell curve. And also for the airport, we do not take the real aviation system, but only mapping the airport. We can see it also distribute very well within the bell curve. But for the real aviation demand mapping, we can see that from this paper conducted in 2020, and this is like only the mega city like Beijing, Xi'an, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Shanghai, these cities have the most connection for the real demand. That is to say, for the scenario mapping, demand estimation is very important. This is demand estimation from the big data mining will be fundamental for scenario modeling, and it will contribute also to the refuse material consumption in industry, in construction industry. Is that if the demand will not grow and will not be there, we may refuse to build any more transportation infrastructures. And this also goes very good with the power laws for cities. We can see this paper. If you are interested, you can see that there are many power laws for cities and spatial fractal structures. And inspired from Helmut Haber from his Nexus network from stock flow service, we can think about if we provide the service there and there is no demand, this kind of service could be no use, right? So we must, the stock are important to meet the demand, and this demand could generate the waste flow. So that is why we rebuild a little bit on the stock flow and demand nexus and make a paper here compared to the high-speed railway road and aviation system, and we can see the stock per demand are decreasing in high-speed railway but increasing a little bit for the road. So that's to say maybe we if the road demand are decreasing, that's why we may not build any more road for especially for expressways in China. But also the embodied emission per demand for high-speed way is also decreasing. But there are a little bit increasing during the pandemic. This is because the demand of this kind of transportation in China are decreasing sharply in these ages. But the operational emission per demand, we can of course see that the aviation system has the most operational emissions. That is the cross-city transportation system, but for the intercity transportation system, we have this compare for the building to road material ratio. And we found that China are quite larger than other cities in Manchester in UK, Odense in Denmark, Gothenburg in Sweden, but also Japan, Germany, and Austria. We have the most high number. Maybe the cross-city transportation in China are well established, but for the intercity transportation system, we may need more in some area, especially for the residential area, commercial area, to build more like intercity transportation of road to avoid this kind of traffic jam in these central areas of intercities. But also the political of scale are also an interesting angle for the high-speed railway scenario development in China, because this is a very interesting book published 2 years ago called Localized Bargaining, the Political Economy of China's High-Speed Railway Program, written by Xiaomao in Peking University. And he argues this word of localized bargaining, where the activities are initiated with central government from the local to secure some resource and infrastructure project, especially for the high-speed rail stations. That is, local politicians have varied degrees of bargaining power based on their political status and connections with the bureaucratic, and this disparity affects how quickly and effectively these different local regions can develop their high-speed stations. Inside from this book, and I developed this paper published last year, and we have found 1,100 high-speed stations, but around 500 over 500, including north, south, west, and east, this word directly in their station name. And by next step estimation, we found over 50 high-speed rail stations are built in the suburban areas. That costs a lot of travel time. That is to say, over half of the time consumed in commuting in high-speedway system is communicating to high-speedway stations and the station waiting, but while only 1/3 of the time are in the train. That is, station location also cause a lot of this kind of operational emissions by commuting to the high-speedway stations in China. And this is also proved by this paper published in Cities that China has a lot of far from activity clusters of high-speedway stations. And for other scenarios, we may thinking about from the expansion of newly built infrastructure to circular economy scenarios. For example, we should refuse some newly construction to avoid according to the demand. You can see the figure that there's almost no cars in the high-speedway system. Maybe we can thinking about to from expressways to local or country road, and also we can rethink about the station location and efficiency because our high-speedway stations are almost in the suburban areas compared with like the France, Italy, and the UK. And also repair with existing stock to improve the function. We can think about to increase from this kind of 4 lanes to the 8 lanes to increasing a little bit of traffic flows rather than building new ways. And also we can repurpose some abandoned high-speedway stations to other use. This news report that over 26 of these abandoned high-speedway stations in China are abandoned due to their remote location and low passenger volume. But we can think about to repurpose these kind of buildings into other use. And in conclusion, I think that transportation stocks drives the material cycles and the vehicle fleet dynamics. It serves as the backbones of these passenger flows, vehicle fleet flows, and the operational emission flows. And for scenario modeling, we, because of the stock, provide transportation service and the precise transportation demand estimation is fundamental. And we need also, especially for China, we need to acknowledge the politics of skills and recognizing how different spatial, administrative, and function dimension influence the decision making. And also we need to shift from expansion to circularity, especially considering the population declining in China. And we recommend the interdisciplinary collaborations across political science, social economics, geology, and also construction technology. Okay, thanks for your attention. Okay. I can stop sharing.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Rachel, for your such insightful presentation. Give our overview of the infrastructure, material stocks, and the dynamics in traffic flows. Thank you. Now, let's welcome to the second speaker, Dr. Tao Wang from the Peking University, and Professor Xin Tong. Hello, Wang Tao.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, could you please share
Professor
your
Mao,
screen?
could you please stop your screen sharing?
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
see.
Hi everyone. I'm Tao Wan, a PhD student from PKU, and I will turn off my camera while sharing my screen to ensure a smoother network experience. Okay. Today I would like to share our recent research, which
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, nice to meet you here, and it's my great pleasure to show you some my latest research results. And not like not like Richard and Wen Tao, what they have just produced. So my current result is just well, it's still kind of incomplete one. So I just want to hear some suggestions and show you some interesting results I found. So the topic is about to establish a big data platform for modeling the future material demand. So so there is no background. Just let's go straight forward to the results. So until now, I think most of the people here, you already know that there are already many studies modeling the future critical material demand from the transportation sector. For the batteries or for the electric vehicles, many people have established their own model, and these models are they are very fancy and they are very comprehensive. But still, you can see from the literature view, the results for the modeling output can vary from the 1500 kiloton for the lithium to the 100 kiloton for the lithium. So only for the one type of the critical material, like the lithium, the results from previous literature can vary significantly. So why? Because most of these models, even they have considered multiple factors, well, actually, the key fundamental factors for establishing the model is all based on our own assumption. So that makes sometimes the model results can be very uncertain. So here is something I think in the future research, in the entire field of modeling the future critical material demand for the transportation, there are some key factors we should pay more attention to, and we should use more historical data to try to explain the future. So for modeling the future demand, there are actually only 4 variables matters. The first, vehicle ownership. So how many vehicles will be on the road? The second, EV penetration. So how many vehicles are electrified powered? And the third, battery capacity. So how huge the battery should be on the vehicle. And the fourth one, material content of the battery. So what kind of the material the battery will use. So these 4 variables make up the total material demand for the future in the transportation sector. So, well, I know you can consider about the price, the population, the GDP, but only these 4 indicators have the greatest uncertainty. So let's look at the first one. So why I'm saying that first, for the previous model results, they are good, but there are many factors we haven't considered, or we should consider more in the future. So the assumptions for us to use to model the total vehicle ownership is all built on the historical data. But when we try to assume the future value for the vehicle ownership in each country, sometimes it's very subjective. So this is the historical vehicle ownership in America, in the EU, in the Japan, in the Korea, and here is for China. So in the entire North America region, the vehicle ownership level is 700 vehicles for 1,000 people. Okay, that number haven't changed too much in the past. So I can assume that in the future, it will keep constant. That makes sense, right? But the uncertainty comes from China. So for China, 30 years ago, our vehicle ownership level is 30 vehicles for 1,000 people. Now we increased to 220. So how many should be the maximum value for our future vehicle ownership? So when we reach the highest vehicle ownership level, just like American did, so what would be the number? So we assume it should be the 400. But it's just an assumption. There is no reasonable reason for this. So why we assume 400? Because we think that it should be above 300. But we all know that the city structure has a big difference between the Europe and between China. So we can't reach 500. So I think would be a middle number for about 400. This is not my own assumption. This is the assumption used by many scholars, including some model used in the IPCC or used in several IM. So I'm thinking that maybe a more reasonable way is to translate transportation service into the vehicle ownership, just like what Wang Tao and what Ruichang has just discussed. Transportation service is our final demand, but it's not buying a car. So we do not want to buy a car. We want to transport. So we need to build some model to translate the future economic growth and population growth into the vehicle demand. And then it would be more reasonable. And I'm very confident that such kind of assumption will be more and more far away from the reality. Because if such kind of assumption is true, so the global passenger vehicle sales will reach 200 million units at least. So currently the total vehicle ownership in the entire world is 1.5 billion. So if such kind of assumption is going to come true, we will reach at least 3 billion in the future. So 3 billion cars for all on the road. So each year we will have 200 million vehicle sales. So you see that we have never reached the 100 million level. So I'm thinking that such assumption do not make sense. So we need to establish a new model to try to translate that. So here is the first thing, the vehicle ownership. And the second thing, EV penetration. So the EV penetration is also a factor that many people have been used related to the transportation demand modeling. But still, there are just assumptions. We all know that, okay, for the EV penetration, it will be 100% in some year, right? That is our target. But in which year? That is the difference for the model output difference of different model. So before the year of 2021, we think that the EV penetration will be growing like this, following the historical development trend in a steady way. But you see, in 2021, in this year, suddenly the global EV sales has a huge increase, and it is double. So then we change our assumption. So we assume that, okay, now it will be grow like this. But actually, no, it will not be like this, because we do not know exactly what is happening behind this number. So the first thing we need to consider is that, so what happened in this year to make such a huge difference in global EV sales? So what drives the increase? So to answer these questions, so our team has been establishing a big data platform, try to characterize the high resolution level, the vehicle sales and the vehicle parameters. So we aim to characterize in each province or each city in China, also in each city in Europe, what kind of the vehicle are sold there. So from the small one to the large one, and also what kind of the battery the vehicle is using, and what kind of the version the vehicle it is. So this is for describing the historical data, not modeling the future. So we need to understand what is happening now. So yeah, so currently we have achieved some results. I want to just call for attention on the big data platform. So currently the data has already been supportive for us to establishing such kind of platform. So we can know that theoretically, we can know in each country, in each city, in each province, what kind of the vehicle are sold there, including their model, their size, their power system, their battery, and their brand. And then we can have a clear understanding of the historical dynamics, so we can model the future well. So that is what I'm calling for. Yeah, and also finally, an advertisement. So I'm currently establishing a special issue in the resources conservation and recycling. I think you are familiar with this journal. So if someone are interested in about the critical material, not only for the transportation but also for the other sectors, you are very welcome to contribute. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor Cui. Now, due to the time constriction, we have only one quick question. Does anybody, if you want to share your thoughts or ask a question, please feel to unmute yourself. No. Okay. So there's no question. Before we wrap up, I have an announcement. Since many of our colleagues are working on this topic, so we will organize another online session on this topic next January as a part of ISIE theme online conference. So if you are interested, please feel free to get in touch. And thank you to our speakers for your fantastic contributions, and to all of you for your active participations. And now, still 1 minute. Does anybody have questions? No, okay. Okay, so thank you for joining us, and hope you continue to enjoy the rest of our IE day. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, stop. Pause.